I'm still begging you to do nothing for men because men still don't want you to do anything for them. When I talked about this in my previous video, it blew up and got over 2,000 comments with a lot of very strong opinions and unique perspectives on what it really means to do nothing for men. And your comments made me realize that there are still some very important questions that need to be answered. Questions like, what happens if he also does nothing for you? How do you do nothing for a man that you're in a relationship with? And even some interesting perspectives from other men who happen to stumble across the video. So we're gonna break down all of these specific scenarios, directly address the men in my comments, and provide you with a full strategy of how to do nothing for men in a way that gets the best response from them in any situation. So that by the end of the video, you have not a single doubt in your mind how you're gonna use the strategy of doing nothing for men to receive anything you want from them. Let's talk about when he does nothing. I'll start by reading this comment that comes directly from the comment section in my previous video. Gia says, when I do nothing for men, they do nothing for me. See, when most people see that comment, they automatically believe that that's a negative thing. But let me explain to you why it's actually the best thing that could possibly happen to you. Men are all about action. We don't grow up with the natural ability to express ourselves through our words. It's not that we can't, it's just not something that's natural to us. Now, what is natural to men is the ability to express how we feel about someone or something through the way that we take or don't take action. And taking action doesn't always have to be as extravagant as 1,000 roses, a Chanel bag, a vacation to Bali. Action from a man can be as small as him making you a cup of tea because he knows you're not feeling well. And when a man is never taking action for you, that's also him telling you how he really feels about you. But here's the craziest part. There is no amount of action that you can take for a guy that's going to convince him to begin taking action for you if that was never his initial intention. So all you're doing when you choose to do nothing for men is quickly weeding out the men who were never intending to take action for you in the first place. You want to know why that's a blessing? Because your time is limited. Think about it like this. Imagine you had to date 5 guys in order to finally find the love of your life. Now imagine if it took you 5 years with each guy before you realize he doesn't actually want a relationship with you. You've just been doing all the work. That would mean it would take you 25 years before you meet the love of your life. Now, what if instead of carrying the relationship from the beginning, you did nothing from the beginning, and you realized within a week that he wasn't the guy you're looking for because he also did nothing? Now, instead of it taking you 25 years to find the love of your life, it took you 5 weeks because you spent less time on the men who responded to you doing nothing by doing nothing. Now let's discuss doing nothing in a relationship. This comment comes from Alana, who asks, what if you're already in a relationship and engaged? Then what? Now, obviously, when you're married or in a serious romantic relationship, you're not going to do absolutely nothing for the guy, let's be so for real. But what you won't do is play his role in the relationship. Doing nothing is a lifestyle statement you must use to ground yourself when you feel like you're being the man in the relationship. Anytime you find yourself making all the plans, scheduling all the dates, doing all the reaching out, consistently managing every aspect of the relationship because of how bad you want it, you are no longer in your feminine energy. You just became a man. Even in your relationship, you do nothing, not because you're trying to be mean, but because you understand that when you do nothing and you leave space for your man to be the man and the leader of the relationship, then both of you are a lot happier in this relationship. You are no longer doing nothing for men to weed them out. Rather, you are doing nothing on a regular basis to prevent yourself from turning into the masculine energy in the relationship. It doesn't mean that you don't do nice things for a man who puts in effort for you and has committed himself to you, but you don't become the constant driving force behind your relationship survival. Rather than begging for your man to take you out on a date, planning it yourself, and basically having him just tag along, you instead do nothing and allow your man to have the space to step up and say, I want to spend time with you. I want to take you out on a date. When are you available? Now let's discuss being called out. This comment comes from Underground Woman, who asks, can you make a video about what to say to a man if he flat out asks you, why are you never texting me first? Why do I always plan everything? It seems like you're not interested. Surely we cannot say, because that's my strategy, Or is him asking these questions already a sign that he is not a masculine man? See, this is where the doing nothing concept can become harmful if it becomes too extreme. I don't want you to go out of your way to do things for men as a way of proving to them that they should love you. But I do want you to keep them motivated while they try to put their best foot forward for you. You want to make sure while he's taking action for you that you show him that you like him through your body language, your touch, your attention, your words. You also want to regularly let him know that you recognize the work that he's doing for you. You appreciate the work that he's doing for you, and you enjoy how it leads to you guys being able to spend more time with each other. Majority of the time, if a guy is calling you out on doing nothing, it's not because he actually cares about texting first or planning all the dates. It's because he doesn't feel in return for his efforts, he's receiving that appreciation or attention from a woman who genuinely is interested in him. But the mistake is thinking that the way you show a guy interest is by texting him or calling him first. It's not. It's by reminding him every time he reaches out, every time he asks you out, every time he plans and schedules an amazing date, that you love and appreciate how much of a man he is for taking initiative and how turned on it gets you. And I promise you, I assure you, there is not a single man on this earth that will complain when you're constantly telling him how his actions turn you on. Let's talk about 50-50 now. This comment comes from Bobby Browner, who says, "Thank you for this video, but don't you think playing hard to get is not always good? I mean, shouldn't it be 50-50 in terms of effort? Sometimes he accommodates me, then I do the same for him. And what do we do when we are unknowingly dealing with an avoidant and at the beginning of the relationship, he needs time for himself and doesn't plan dates after the first 2 months? Do we just let him go? It's hard when you're an empath." I want you to understand doing nothing is just as much about protecting you as a woman as it is about getting what you want from men. What I mean by that is the moment you are emotionally invested in a man as a woman, you have a natural instinct to pour into that man as much as you can to nurture him. The problem with that is when things start off with him investing a little bit, you match that, so everything's all good. But after a while, the instinct you have to be nurturing and to be a caretaker causes you to invest even more, even if his investment has stayed low or in some cases gone backwards and is now non-existent. And this is where things become really difficult, because since you spent all this time emotionally and spiritually investing not only in this man but also in the success of this relationship, it's hard all of a sudden to just stop that. Then even when you realize his investment is low or non-existent, the fear that all the time and energy you put into this man is wasted if the relationship ends causes you to decide to just continue investing in the relationship so that you can save it. Doing nothing as a strategy also prevents you from falling into the trap of over-investing. So if a man stops planning dates with you after 2 months, it'll be real obvious if you do nothing because you'll just stop seeing him. I understand it's difficult when his effort gets pulled back, but at the end of the day, why are you feeling sorry for a man who clearly doesn't give a crap about you? Next, I want to talk about keeping it simple. This comment comes from Glockpiece. "Men are not worth this much effort. I'm already drained. Mental gymnastics and head games is not it." If your thought process towards the concept of doing nothing for men is that it's playing games, then you already have the wrong approach and you won't be successful with it. You're not doing nothing for men because you're playing a game with them. You're doing nothing for men to allow them to step into their masculine role as the leader and driver of the relationship. Real men who desire you actually appreciate you giving them the space to step into that masculine role. And the men who don't have a desire to step into that role will not, and you'll spend so much less time and energy wasted chasing men around who don't actually want to do what's required of them to be in a healthy, serious relationship. It's not a crime to create a strategy that allows you to have the best opportunity in a successful long-term relationship. Relationships are just like any other aspect of life. If you come with a plan and a strategy, your chances of being successful are way higher than if you're just winging it. I promise you, the people telling you it's playing games to embrace your feminine energy and allow a man to step into his masculine energy are lying to you and brainwashing you. And I mean it when I say it's the most dangerous form of propaganda, because when you see other women getting treated like a queen, like a princess, with a man who will do absolutely anything for her, the first thing you think is, Wow, how did she do that? But you also believe that coming into a relationship with any sort of strategy is playing a game. Yet the women who get treated in the ways that you fantasize about only get treated that way because they understand how to approach the relationship from the very beginning with a specific strategy that will allow them to have that desired outcome. I now want to talk about how do you do nothing over text. We'll start this point by reading a question from Laura Frank. But how do I text men? Let's say he does show up, he does care, I don't do too much. How can I make sure I don't do too little? Because that's more my problem rather than doing too much. Should I let him make the jokes and hold the conversation? Would be really interested in your opinion about that. The easiest way to strike a balance over text while doing as little as possible is to make sure you're not getting to know each other over text. That doesn't serve either of you because it gives you less to talk about in person, and it also doesn't incentivize him to want to take you out on a date in order to get to know you. But you're also not going to never text him. The times in which you communicate with him, I want you to, as much as possible, use pictures, videos, or voice notes to show him what you're doing. This does two things simultaneously. First, it's a lot more engaging and intriguing than a regular text message, which makes you a lot more memorable in his eyes. Also, it gives him real life evidence that your life is full, you have lots of things to do, lots of places to go throughout your day, rather than just sitting and waiting for him to text you. It's a subtle reminder that if you're speaking to him, it's not because you have nothing else to do. And at the same time, when you send those pictures, videos, or voice notes in response to his messages, you don't come across as someone who's desperately trying to hold the conversation, waiting for the faithful moment in which he'll ask you out. You essentially are showing him, without actually saying it, that whether or not we go out together, my life is going to be fun and enjoyable with or without you, which is exactly what men need in order to respect you and desire you as the woman that they want to get access to, and they also have to put their best foot forward for. Now, in this section, I'm going to be addressing a comment from a man in my previous video about doing nothing for men. This comment comes from Mark Eric, and unfortunately, since making his comment, he has since deleted it, but I did screenshot it. So it reads, "You are poisonous and you need to be shut down. You are wrong in every aspect and you are poisoning the well. You are lying to these women and you are teaching them to make slaves of men. No one should be listening to you. The women that take your lies to heart will be alone in their 60s. You are a scammer." First of all, I don't believe that men should be slaves to women, nor women slaves to men. This is exactly why I say you can't listen to what men say they want. You have to pay attention to what they respond to. See, guys like this want to convince you that you'll be alone if you don't start doing the most for men. But I wonder if that guy went to a club and he saw an extremely hot woman that was exactly his type. Would that woman have to do anything in order to get him to want to approach her and ask for her number? Would his expectation be that this extremely attractive woman has an obligation to approach him? Do you think that if I could guarantee him that he would be able to go up to her and get her number as long as he approached her first, that he would waste any time approaching that woman? My point being is men lie, actions don't. When a man really wants you, he's looking for an opportunity to get you. The idea that you should be doing more for a man before they ever do anything for you is literally brainwashing you so that you can get taken advantage of. Men do not ever respond well to women who overinvest in them, especially when the man has not done anything to earn that investment. Every single time you make this mistake with the man, he will punish you by draining you of your energy while simultaneously doing nothing for you. Let's now discuss observation with men. This comment comes from Talia and reads, "Man, he ghosted me for 3 days, then gonna text, 'I didn't see this message.' So for 3 days, you didn't even want to check on me?" I just said, "God bless." This is a perfect example of what I describe as seeing what men would rather do. One of the many gifts that doing nothing will give you is you will no longer fill space in your relationships that will prevent you from knowing what he would have done if you didn't fill that space. which in turn will prevent you from knowing what's really in his heart and what his true intention actually is. In this example, if Talia would have sent him a message, let's say after a day when her anxiety was beginning to bubble and she was nervous that this guy was uninterested in her, what would have likely happened is when she sent the message, he would have then responded and she would have begun to believe, okay, yeah, he actually is interested in me. But here's the problem. That assumption is based on the fact that she went to message him, which caused him to respond. But if it wasn't for her going out of her way to send him a message, would he have actually sent her a message in that time period? The only way to know for sure what his true intention actually is and what his true interest level actually is was in the scenario to not say anything and see how long he'll go without actually speaking to you. And in this case, when Talia realized that he was willing to go a whole 3 days only to say, I didn't see this message, it paints a very clear picture of how serious he's taking this relationship. But this is why doing nothing is so amazing. It reveals to you the truth. You don't have to be confused. And when you realize, oh, I was doing nothing, and then he showed me his true colors, and now I know for a fact he's not serious about this relationship, you can finally free yourself of the confusion. This section I'm going to describe as accepting the truth. Let's read a comment that comes from Scranton Rebecca. It reads, what about when the guy never plans a date and just wants to Netflix and chill? How can we get a proper date out of them after the honeymoon phase is over? This is the part of doing nothing for men that is the most difficult. When you're doing it right, everything becomes very, very clear to you. His intention with you becomes very clear. His desire for you becomes very clear. How much effort he's willing to put in for you becomes very clear. But when you realize the truth is not what you wanted it to be, accepting that truth can become extremely difficult. If you're doing nothing and you realize that this man only invites you over to watch Netflix and chill, that's a very clear indicator about how he actually feels about you in this relationship. He's not taking you seriously. He's not trying to actually date you. He just wants to sleep with you with minimal effort. So if you know you're here for a serious relationship and you know through his actions he's clearly not here for a serious relationship, then you must accept that as the truth rather than figuring out how you're going to change that. So the question shouldn't be, how can I get a proper date from a guy who doesn't want to go on a proper date with me? The real question should be, how do I run away fast enough from the guy who isn't interested in taking me out on a proper date? Understand it's always a win-win. This comment comes from Artemis and reads, love the advice in this video. The best thing is, if women follow this advice, they lose nothing if it doesn't work out. Investing in yourself, not wasting time chasing men, not making yourself small and meek to please them, not changing your schedule to accommodate them. This is all in our best interest, whether we want a man or not. If he can't step up, he's not worth it anyway, and you don't waste any time or energy on him. This indeed is the beauty of doing nothing for men. You can't lose. Many people hear the idea of doing nothing for men and they immediately think about being selfish. They put a negative connotation on it. But the statement and the lifestyle is not about being selfish. It's about understanding your role as a woman is not to try and do backflips and monkey dances to impress men. They will never be impressed by that. In fact, they will be turned off by your desire to try so hard to impress them. You are helping yourself and the men that you date when you do nothing for them and allow them to be the ones taking action for you. You will also avoid falling for the trap of over-investing in a man you've built feelings for simply because of your natural instinct to nurture. You'll avoid getting taken advantage of because you'll spot the men who aren't interested in you or interested in investing in you very, very quickly. And even if you do nothing for a man and it doesn't work out, you've been focused on yourself, you've been investing in yourself, so the time isn't wasted either. You always end up being a more attractive, more interesting, more desirable version of yourself when you take that energy that you wanted to put into the men to get them to like you and you put it into yourself and you end up attracting even more men.